All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled Financially Crippling Our Sons, Our Boys. I'm thinking about the state of black boys, and I'm thinking about how I came up too. And one of the patterns that we have as a community is we cripple our boys financially. And it starts at a very early age because there's a way that we cripple them in we're not teaching them skills. So by the time they become adults, the vast majority of them don't have a skill to make money. So if they, and with the dropout rates and people going to the rates of unemployment, one of the biggest things about that to me is not just age with unemployment, because unemployment sometimes is a tricky statistics because it includes everybody 16 and up, right? So high school students and college students are counted as unemployed also. So, and sometimes elderly people. So it's a tricky statistic, but the fact the number is high. But we cripple these guys because you don't think of when you think of unemployed, you think of somebody who has no skills. And with black men who are black boys, if somebody's homeless or unemployed, you never ask them what they can do because you don't assume that they can do anything. And there are a lot of guys who can do things, but they just for some odd reason couldn't keep it together. But there's a lot of guys who have no real skills, and they were crippled by their own families doing that to them. The coddling thing from the mothers, that cripples these young boys financially because instead of teaching them to be go-getters, you're teaching them to be taken care of. And once you teach a young boy that he needs to be taken care of, you kind of crush his drive. So without drive, there is no reason to want to create and build something. There's no legacy to create because there's no drive. There's no inner ambition in the first place because there's no direction. So it's just so now they're waiting on somebody to do something for them that they're supposed to have the drive to do for themselves. So we're crippling these boys financially. I would say the same thing as opposed to the girls, because the reason I say this is because I remember that my brother's keeper thing. They just scrapped that and ran that into the ground. But when you think about programs for our girls and our young ladies, they have a plethora of programs for our young ladies to get on their feet and to thrive in society. And the crazy part about it is there are no programs like that for boys, not at all. Like if you compare by the numbers, I would say, how many programs there are out there for black women in particular will dwarf what's out there for black boys. And ultimately, even at the end of that, the as the boys are still financially ahead of the women. The men are financially ahead of the women. So that's crazy with all that quote unquote investment in the community. You can get a return on that. But you're crippling the boys because even when it comes to that, the part of chivalry is that a man takes care of everything. So for the guys who take on that role, and this is why marriage is not looked at the way it used to be is because you you cripple these boys from having skills and being able to create an income and create money. If they succeed, but if they figure something out and do something, and in their lives and make a little change or whatever, now you want them to take on a woman to create a wife and family, and a lot of our women swear that they're educated, so we're taking on their student loan debt. So, you know, he's behind the eight ball financially of every other group. Now, when he gets on his feet, now you want him to take on a woman who wants to saddle him down with debt, and then get mad, and because money is one of the number one reasons for divorce, and get mad that the that the needs or wants aren't getting met because of these financial debts. And now, because of that, want a divorce. And if they got kids, I'm taking the kids. And now you're talking divorce, alimony, child support. And you're crippling these men, and then you're looking for these men to, what are you going to build in the community? Well, unfortunately, we're not investing in these boys to create these builders you're looking for. And even when they have mentors, we're crippling them by trying to teach them how to use their mentor to as a way to get money out of them. But manipulating your mentors for money has become a game that guys know all too well. But also, it's crippled the boys financially, because now you further tear them away from the type of person that can show them how to create an industry or a business. So now these boys are crippled, and you got people running to the streets. And I find it odd that you make sure these young men don't have the common sense skill, drive, and ambition to make money, and you know this, but you have less of a, that's acceptable behavior. And unfortunately, it's acceptable because, well, if you don't have any skills, you can't do nothing. I guess if you out in the streets committing crime, then it is what it is. I mean, I guess, that's what happened. And to me, it's pushing these young boys into a life and a lifestyle that they're not fully aware of the consequences of. You should be, though. You really should be. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. The other thing is children, because everybody feels like they're gonna take care of the family rallies around the girls, because I know a lot of young ladies whose family rallied around them in high school, who rallied around them, supported them in college, who as adults still rally around them and support them. And if you put that same amount of investment into your boys, our community as a whole would be a lot better, because usually the boys bring more back to the table. But you have these situations where you support and coddle the women in our community to the degree that the family financially cripples itself, and now they're looking for now they want to pimp the daughter out to a man, not just to pay her debts off, but to get the family out of the debt that was created by over investing in their daughters. So for the boys, it looks like a lot of times there's no financial escape from how they're trying to cripple the boys financially, And it's a problem that's not really addressed fully, because you have a bunch of different generations going through it at the same time. just at a different space. You know, teaching these, even when young boys are emasculated by their parents. If you notice, those boys want to look for people who can take care of them. Like, even if they're homosexual, they're looking for a homosexual man to be a provider for them and take care of them. And that's mostly because they were taught bad financial habits of, shopping and spending and impulsive behaviors that create a debt that you might not be able to get from under. The other thing, before I go, is we got two different generations. I might talk about this on a separate video, maybe tomorrow, where we have a generation of parents who didn't take care of their kids, and now their kids have become parents, and now they're doing their best to take care of their kids, and they want them to have all the advantages, and because they came from a situation where they didn't have any advantages, they will pass down debt. Whether it wasn't necessarily you owe because your parents owe, but because you're starting from scratch or negative, and now you may just be afloat, but you're crippling yourself financially, overspending or living paycheck to paycheck to give your child a platform to succeed in that you didn't get from your parents. And which a lot of times on the back end, and I've seen this, leaves old guys broke. Because when it's their age of retirement, nobody cares that they've spent the last 25 years making sure these kids got through school or got through college, and and now they don't have they actually spent their retirement money building up a generation, and now they're put out to pasture and nobody takes care of them because we're financially crippling. The situation is financially crippling our boys all the way to from birth to the grave, per se, or from the age when they can learn to compete in society from the grave. And one of the things about lack of investment is, a lot of boys aren't accustomed. We buy toys as tools to pacify young boys, to buy time for them to be 18 to get out the house, because we didn't want to take the time to invest in them. And investing in entertaining them cripples them, because now when you're 18, you're supposed to be grown, but they have no financial sense. And I see this too often, because when I hear it in contrast with the young women I know, they have a lot of them had savings. I don't hear a lot of boys having savings, and that's just something I've observed. So I'm gonna end this video now. Y'all have a good evening. Peace.